All right, this is an introduction to the parts of the potter's wheel.
Splash guard.
This is the splash guard. Please do not remove it when you are cleaning it.
Wheel head.
This is the wheel head, the metal part.
On-off switch.
The on-off switch is on the right side of your wheel, right here. Some of them are cradle switches and some of them are black prongs.
Direction switch.
Some of the wheels have a direction switch on the right side. Please make sure it's pushed forward.
Bat pins.
The bat pins are right here on your wheel. About 4 of the wheels do not have bat pins. In this classroom, we have black and blue bats. Please make sure you use the black or blue bats. There are also wooden bats. Please do not use them. They are not beginner friendly.
Pedal.
The pedal to operate your wheel is down here. Can move. This is the deck area of the wheel.
Water bucket.
All right, each wheel has a water bucket.
Tools.
And then all of your tools in the water bucket. This is your sponge. This is your wooden rib. Needle tool. Wooden angle tool. And this is your wire tool or string tool used for cutting. And those are the parts of the wheel. All right, this is section 2 in your guided notes. This is setting up the wheel.
Fill the bucket with warm water.
The bucket needs to be filled up about 1/3 of the way. It does not need to be filled up all the way. I always get asked if it matters if it's warm water. Really, it does not matter. I just don't prefer to stick my hands in cold water. Okay.
Pinch off a small amount of clay and dip it in the water.
In order to make your bat stick, you want to have wet, sticky clay.
Put small amounts of clay on the 4 corners of the wheel head. Do not put clay in the center of the wheel head.
I know that the wheel head is a circle and it doesn't really have corners, so you have to make a square. Please do not put clay in the center.
Push the bat onto the bat pins and over the wheel head.
Make sure you line up your bat pins and you push hard. I have to put my full weight onto the bat to squish it on.
Cut off a piece of clay about the size of your fist.
If your tools are wet and you have to touch your water, you're going to want to dry your hands before you touch your clay. You do not want your clay to be slick or wet. You want about the size of your fist, maybe a little bit bigger.
Make sure your bat is dry.
So if you attempt to put clay on this wet bat, your clay will not stick. So you have to dry it off. Okay?
Turn your clay on its side.
All right, there are 3 ways to prevent an S-crack. The first way to prevent an S-crack is when you are setting up your clay. Do not set it on flat. Make sure that you set your clay on its side on the wheel.
Line up the clay with the center of your bat.
Okay?
Smack the clay down hard into the center of the bat.
Okay.
Slap the clay hard 3 times. Get your hand wet and push your index finger along the bottom of the clay where the clay meets the mat to seal the clay to the mat. Form the clay into a smooth dome shape. Push, pull, and bump the clay as close to center as possible.
So when you're handling the clay, you want to make sure your hands are wet so it slides over the clay and it doesn't stick or kind of burn your hands. Okay? All right, and that's it for setting it up. All right, this section is on coning up. Coning is going to make centering your clay much easier.
Make sure your wheel is on by checking the switch on the right side of your wheel. Push the foot pedal to turn on the wheel.
Okay.
Make sure your stool is touching the slider.
So this is very important. Make sure your stool is all the way forward. A lot of students attempt to throw or play with the clay from here and it doesn't work. Your stool should be touching the splash guard.
Brace your elbows into your body.
All right, please don't have your elbows out like this, like chicken wings. Make sure your elbows are braced on your body. Otherwise, you will not have the strength to be able to do this. This takes a lot of strength.
Make your hands into the high up position.
All right, make your hands into the high, spelled H-I, ya, spelled Y-A, position. This is what the high ya position looks like. Left hand is high. Right hand is ya. Crosses over. You use your thumb to support your right hand. So this is the high ya position. Okay.
Your left hand will squeeze the clay, and your right hand will angle up and shape the clay into a cone. If your clay gets a hole in the middle, that means that you are squeezing too much and your right hand is not shaping.
All right, this is what coning up looks like. My elbows are braced into my body. My heart is over the clay. I'm gonna get the wheel going faster. Do you see how my left hand, do you see how my hands are moving all over the place? This clay is not centered, and we will not be able to do anything with this clay. Now I'm going to hold my left hand really still. And you can see that the clay is coming up to a cone. So my left hand is the very, very strong hand. It is holding still and it's squeezing. The right hand is rocking like this and shaping the cone.
Once you have a cone shape, use your right hand to push the clay back down.
So still using the high ya position, but now my right hand is going to do the work. Notice how my right elbow has to come away from my body, but my left elbow is still tucked into my body.
Cone up and down at least 3 times.
All right, so that was one. You need to cone up and down at least 3 times. So this is what it looks like a little bit faster. So I have a really good question. This student noticed that when I am working, I keep a sponge in my hand. And that is a really good thing to notice, because as I am working, I do keep a sponge in my right hand all the time. That sponge is full of water. So as it's spinning and I start to feel that drag on my hand, that heat, I give it a little squeeze, and then it becomes slick again. So you're right, I do keep a sponge in my right hand so that my clay always stays slick under my hands. And that's coning. Okay. All right, okay, ready? All right, this is centering. Number 4 in your guided notes. Centering is the hardest and most important part of throwing on the wheel.
Once you have coned your clay 3 times, you are ready to center your clay.
So you notice when I first touched the clay, my hands were all over the place, bumping around like this. Now that I've coned up and down, my clay is much closer to the center. If you look, my left hand is still moving slightly, still bumping out slightly. In order to go to the next step, my clay has to be perfectly centered. Now my left hand, I really have to brace it and not let the clay move at all.
Make sure your body is over your clay. Your heart should be over your clay. Your hands should be braced into your body, and your hands are in the high out position.
All right, this is what it looks like. Notice my left hand is not moving at all. My right hand is not moving at all.
Push the foot pedal down to set the wheel at full speed.
So you know that your clay is centered when it's going fast and it slides through your hands and your hands don't move at full speed.
Brace your left hand very tight. Do not push your left hand all the way down against the bat. Leave about 1/8 of an inch between your hand and the bat.
So this takes a lot of power when you're doing this, and you're going to be pushing in really tight, and it's very tempting to push all the way down with your left hand. Don't do that. Leave this 1/8 of an inch of clay at the bottom. The bat is very rough and it will burn your hand.
Centering is the hardest and most important part of throwing.
Is it west?
You will know your clay is centered when your hands do not move.
All right, you know your hands are centered when your hands are in the high out position and they're not moving. Yep. And that's centering. Opening. Step 5. Use your index finger or your thumbs to find the very center of your clay. Push down into the center of the clay. Do not push all the way to the wheel head. Leave about 1/2 inch on the bottom. While bracing your elbows on your knees, insert your index finger into the hole you created and pull towards you as you bend your index finger. You want the bottom of the pot to be flat. You do not want it to come to a point at the bottom. Now it's time to firm up the bottom. While bracing your elbows on your body, firmly hold your finger at the bottom of the pot and smooth out any ridges that were created by your fingers or your fingernails. Rub back and forth over the bottom of the clay. Doing this will help reduce S cracks at the bottom of your piece. Use your needle tool to check the depth of the bottom of your pot. That's how thick the bottom of your pot is. All right, this section is pulling up the sides of your bowl.
When throwing on the wheel, your hands should always be touching each other. Place your hands in the pulling position. Your right hand will be in a fist with your index finger knuckle sticking out slightly. Your left hand will be straight and your hands will be connected at the thumb. Place your hands on your pot between the 4 o'clock and 5 o'clock position on the right side of the pot.
So make sure you're on the right side, right off of center, between 4 and 5 o'clock on an analog clock.
You will gently squeeze the clay between the fingertips of your left hand and the knuckle of your right index finger. Squeeze the clay and pull up.
This is what it looks like.
As you pull toward the lip of the clay, release the pressure of your squeeze gradually.
As you pull up towards the top, you're squeezing down at the bottom where there's a lot more clay. And then as you come towards the top, you need to release your pressure. If you do not release the pressure, you will pull off the top of your bowl.
A common mistake for students to make is squeezing too hard as they get toward the lip of their clay and they rip off the top of their pot. Try pulling up about 3 times.
So far I pulled up twice. Okay.
Firm up the lip by making a pinching shape with your left hand and resting your index finger on the lip of the pot.
And that's how to pull up the sides. Okay. All right, this is how you're going to trim the excess clay that we left at the bottom of the pot.
When we centered the clay, we left about 1/8 of an inch of clay at the bottom of the pot. It is time to trim off that extra clay. Use the wooden angle tool to trim off this clay. Brace your elbows into your body. Be prepared to hold on tight to the tool. Push the tool into the clay about 3/4 of an inch above the bottom of the clay. Push the tool down and into the clay as the clay is spinning slowly. Use the tool to remove the extra clay from the wheel. Now is your last chance to change the shape of your pot.
Give me a second. It's making this whole noise all of a sudden. It's airplane. All right, now is the last chance you have to shape the pot. All right, this step is about cutting your pot off of the wheel head or off of your bat. Before you cut off your clay, you want to make sure that you've got any water that is at the bottom of your pot, you want to make sure it is out. This is the third thing we can do to prevent S cracks. Make sure there is no water sitting at the bottom of our pot. I'm going to use my sponge. I'm going to wring out all the water and then bracing my right hand with my left, touch the bottom and soak up any remaining water that was in the bottom of the pot. Okay.
Use the cutting wire or string tool to cut your pot from the bat. Use the wooden angle tool to lift the bat from the wheel head.
Okay, so let me show you how to cut it with the wire tool. Make sure the wire or string tool is tight, pulled tight. You don't want it loose. You want to press your thumbs to the bat or the wheel head and then pull towards you. Clean off your tool and then do it one more time. All right, now your pot's been released from the bat. The bat, remember we squished on there with some clay, so it's going to be really hard to get off. So if you can't just lift it off, don't use your fingernails. Use the wooden angle tool and get it underneath of the bat and lift up.
Place your pot with your bat on the work in progress shelf.
Right, so this needs to go on the work in progress shelf, and then the next day you can write your name on the bottom when it's more dry. Question?
What if your wheel doesn't have a bat?
Really good question. What if your wheel does not have a bat? If your wheel does not have a bat, you're going to use something called pot lifters. Matt, would you turn around to that door behind you? The door? Yeah, open it up. Is there little metal things in there? No, there's not. Can I look over here then? Okay. There's little metal tools that look like L's that we shove underneath the piece and lift it up. So it's a good question. If you do not have a bat, you'll need pot lifters to lift them up. Okay.
Where do you put the pot?
That's it. All right. So this goes on the work in progress shelf. Right? Can you set that over there? That's it. All right. So the last step for throwing is cleaning up so that you can get your rubric signed for your cleanup points.
Remove the small pieces of clay from the wheel head.
So there might be clay underneath your bat. You need to scrape off. Make sure you get this off. It's easier to do when it's soft. All right.
Put any scraps of clay in the white recycle bucket near the door.
All right. So any of the scraps that you've carved off, please don't put these in the sink. They need to go in the
water into the sink. Please pick up any scraps of clay that might have fallen into the sink.
All right, so I want only water to go in. I don't want clay to go in. So I'm gonna pour the water through my fingers so I can catch any tools or big pieces of clay so they don't go down into the sink. And you can see there's still some clay left in my bin. All right, so the splash guards are gonna have clay and water built up in them. Use the sponge just to wipe up the water and then squeeze it out in your bucket. Okay?
Do not remove the splash guards from the wheels.
Please don't take these off. They're very difficult to put back together.
Clean all tools to the sink and rinse out the bucket.
All right, so bring your tools over. Make sure you don't have any big pieces. I still have some big pieces from when I cleaned out my splash.
Sponge to clean the wheel head and the deck.
Okay?
Place a clean bat on the wheel head.
All right, so if you do not have a clean bat, you can clean that dirty bat that is in the sink. Thank you. Okay?
Wipe off the deck of the wheel.
I already did that, but we'll do it one more time. All right?
Throw away any paper towels you may have used.
All right, so remember we had to dry stuff off, so there's quite a few paper towels over here. Check your area around your
Clay stack next class.
All right, so we'll have the clay stacked up right here for you. If there's any unused clay, please make sure the bags are closed before you walk away. All right?
Do not forget to have shoes sign your rubric.
All right, make sure you also clean your tools. They clean up pretty easy. Dip them in some water, use your sponge. Dump out the water out of your bucket. Your bucket goes on the deck. The towels go in the bucket. Make sure that the back counter is also wiped off. And make sure there's no big pieces of clay in the sink.
Remember you must have shoes signed your rubric before the bell rings. And please leave yourself at least 10 minutes to clean up. Remember, she does not sign passes to your next class.
So it takes about 10 minutes to clean up this whole, to go through this whole process. So make sure you leave yourself enough time. And that's it. Thank you.